morning, everyone. Welcome to our Cochise County Cooperative Extensions Farmers Market food demos. So we do these every Friday at 10:30. Next week we're going to do a special food demo. It's going to be in connection with senior food boxes that are coming from the farmers market vendors using the senior nutrition benefits. And those are the same benefits that we talked about in September for WIC and for the seniors. So we have a special program we're going to be doing. We're going to try those out. And then I'm going to do a food demo with the items that we put in those food boxes. So that should be super fun and exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. So I went to the farmers market yesterday, and in Sierra Vista it was a gorgeous day. This is the best time of the year to go to the market. It's not hot, it's nice and sunny, and there was lots of great produce. And I really had a hard time deciding what we were going to make today. But eggs are back, and I am a big egg fan, and eggs are a great, affordable way to add protein to your diet. They're also really super fast. So if you're looking for fast and easy meals, that's a great option to go with. So today we're going to make a garden frittata. And I know you won't be able to see this on the camera, but I'm going to show it anyway. We have from AZ Health Zone a garden frittata recipe, and we're going to use this as our basis. One of the beautiful things about frittatas is they're quick, they're easy, they don't require like special equipment. You can usually make it with what you have in your fridge or what you find at the farmer's market. So it's a perfect option. So we're gonna have to do this a little strange because I don't have a stovetop right here. So I have one that I've made and it's sitting there. So I'm gonna show you everything on our flat top, and then we're going to kind of transition. So first, pull everything over. Excuse me. I was actually just eating some granola from the farmer's market. All right. So things I found at the market this week. Peppers, lots of peppers. They were very abundant. There's still some tomatoes. These are from my garden. And there was bok choy, which we're gonna use. And there was spinach, which we're going to use as well. So the recipe calls for spinach, but I want to show you that, let's say you go to the market, you want to make this, and all the spinach is gone. Either it's all been sold out, or it's just not the right season for spinach. You can make this with any type of green. So I'm going to use bok choy because it's one of my favorites. But there's Swiss chard there, you can use that. You could use kale if you wanted to. So there's a lot of flexibility here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop the bok choy. So whether you get a big bok choy or you get a baby bok choy, which are awesome, you can steam those just like they are, and they make a fantastic side for dinner. There's a bottom, and that is the root. That's what sits on top of the ground when it grows. So when you wash these, you want to make sure you get down inside here and really wash down in there because dirt gets trapped in those spaces. A lot of times I cut them and then rinse them because it's a little bit easier, but I've rinsed these really well. So you want to make sure you cut the bottom. I'm just going to remove my garlic. We just cut the bottom right off. And so you can almost see like a little flower in there. We'll throw that into the discard bowl. And then you want to just give this, I'm going to just take a couple of these, a fine chop. So you just want to give them pretty thin down here on the crunchy part because that won't cook down as much. And then as you get up to the top where the greens are, you can give them a little bit bigger chop because that's gonna cook down quite a bit. All right. And then we're also going to do the spinach. So these are beautiful spinach leaves. As you can tell, they're not baby spinach like you might get in a bag at the grocery store. They're a little bit larger, and some of them have a decent sized stem on there. So to just take that off, you could leave it if you want, and then you just pull that off just like that. Put that in the discard bowl as well. And fresh spinach is really, really awesome. So there's like a perfect little leaf there. All right, so we're just gonna do like that. And I'm gonna give these a rough chop. The recipe actually doesn't call to cut it. We're going to wilt our greens before we add them to the frittata, and that will help cook them down. I think especially if you're feeding kids, if you cut it up beforehand, it'll be an easier bite. Because sometimes you could get like a nice long piece of spinach, and especially for a child or really anyone, that might be a problem because it might be hard to bite down on. So I'm just going to give them a quick chop. So I kind of just push them all together, chop them up, and nothing too fancy, just like that. All right. So I'm going to move all this over. Because now we're going to cook. All right. So I'm going to bring my cooktop over, and as always, I've been preheating it. And I'm actually going to turn this down because it feels very warm. Especially when you're cooking with eggs, you don't need a super warm surface because that's how you get kind of the brown and the burn. So you want it to be obviously warm enough to cook it, but not to burn it. So the recipe calls for vegetable oil. I have that. I always use vegetable spray, so I'm actually going to use that on here. And there we go. So, recipe calls for a half a cup? Yep, half a cup of chopped onion. I chopped up some for our pre-cooked frittata, and then it calls for a clove of garlic, and then it also calls for 1 medium tomato. So you can still get tomatoes at the market. So that is, I'm gonna put this right on here, and same with the garlic, and then the tomatoes, which, because I pre-chopped them, they're a little juicy, so I'm going to bring some of that off. Okay. So those are on there. Now, the recipe doesn't call for peppers, but the market still has a lot of these little beautiful peppers, these little baby peppers, has some purple peppers. So I'm going to add some peppers to my garden frittata. There's also a good selection of spicy peppers at the market from a couple of different vendors, and I think those would be great if you were so inclined to make a spicy frittata. Alright, so I'm going to let this cook over here. Alright. And you pretty much want to let everything just cook through. So one of the things I really like about this recipe is this next part. So when it calls for steaming the greens. And so we're going to do that. And it's going to look like this. I'm going to take the bok choy, and I'm going to put it on here. And I'm going to take the spinach, and I'm going to put that on here. And we're going to add just a tiny bit of water. And you can hear it probably popping and steaming. And then it's just going to steam those greens right up. It's going to be really nice. And if If you wanted to, you could put a lid on it if you wanted to make it go faster. All right. So while these are cooking, the next thing we're going to do is our eggs. So this recipe calls for 4 egg whites. Egg whites are a lot of times a healthier option than doing the whole egg. Especially I think if you have something else that you want to use those yolks for, I think that that's good. I personally don't want to throw out any of the egg, so I'm going to do just full eggs. And I'm going to use 2 because I've already used 2 in my other one. So I found at the market duck eggs, and this is what they look like. They look a lot like regular eggs, but they have an enormous yolk in them. They're a beautiful color. So I do want to point out that this is how they come, just like regular eggs. But you want to wash them before you crack them because they are from birds. So you want to make sure you give them a good wash. And I'll close those back up. And then you can crack them into. The shells in these are pretty hardy, so gonna give them a little extra oomph. So you can kind of see how clear the white of that egg is and then how yellow the yolk is. I have to be honest, this is the first time I've ever used duck eggs. So that's a new thing for me. So I'm gonna just do like this because it's a little bit easier to get it cracked open. There we go. All right. So we have our eggs. And once again, if you could totally do this with just egg whites, and it would be a really healthy option. So a little bit of salt, just a touch. And salt is actually important in eggs because it helps break down the enzymes, one of those random NPR facts. And then a little pepper. And this recipe calls for an Italian spice blend. I would say use whatever strikes your fancy. This is my go-to Italian blend. And then we're going to whisk it up. So when I whisk eggs, the first thing I do is really break the yolks up. And the good thing about putting your herbs in at this point is it really helps spread them out. Maybe while you were at the market, you got some basil. So I'm pretty sure I saw some fresh basil there. You could totally put that in here. There was some mushrooms at the market. You could totally put that in this. All right. So we whisk these up. And then I actually forgot one element. I'll be right back. We need the pan to put this in. So our veggies have all cooked. So if you were doing this at home, you would totally just use the pan to saute the veggies, and then perhaps a separate pan to steam your greens, and then you would just cook everything in the same pan. Because we are doing this using our flat top, it makes it a tiny bit more difficult. And I know what I mean. I need all the gadgets. That's what I need. I'm gonna put our greens in there. And you can see how the greens are really like steamed down. So it makes these a lot easier to eat. All right, I'm just gonna kind of spread that out. And then I'm gonna add our veggie mix. The cool thing about the veggie mix is if, let's say, people in your house do not like tomatoes, you could add pretty much whatever you wanted. in here to make it a favorite dish. And like I said earlier, you can use veggies, kind of the clean out the fridge meal if you wanted to do it that way. All right, great. So we've got all our veggies in there. I'm gonna move that out of the way. So, that. And then we're just gonna dump our egg mixture on. And then you would turn the heat to low, put a lid on it, and cook this for about 15 minutes. Check it for doneness after about 15 minutes. In this particular pan, this is really a thin pan and it spreads everything out really thin. It might take a little bit less time. So let me get you the finished product. So I cooked this one in my handy dandy cast iron and put the lid on it, and then it's all done. And so this will make a great lunch. You could serve it with a salad for a lunch. You could have it as breakfast, or you could have it with a lean protein, perhaps some chicken or fish or turkey. It would make a great, well-rounded meal because you already have all your veggies in there. Maybe a little fruit salad if you wanted to add something a little sweet. So there we are, garden frittata. I hope you all enjoyed. Join us next week, and I will see you at the farmer's market on Thursday. Great. Have a great day. Bye.